the cloud.
This meeting is
Okay, Mel, welcome to the Shadow Shaman. We have Mel, and she, her name's Melissa, and she has Censored by Mel. Can you explain to us a little bit about what that is?
So Censored by Mel is my brand, and I do a lot of work with the senses. We'll get into exactly what I do a little bit later, but I do a lot of things that help you stay present in your body and, be very aware of your inner and your outer world experiences. And all of my work kind of ties into that. So that's kind of a little short story of what Censored by Mel is.
And I've seen some photos. You cook for these events, like you do a vegan menu, and I see people with the blindfolds. What's that about?
So one of my main offerings, they're called sensory journeys. And so essentially what a sensory journey is, it is a 5-course meal, completely blindfolded. And I take you through an immersive storytelling experience. I'm loving this cat right now.
Photo Bobby like all the time.
So a sensory journey is an immersive storytelling experience where I kind of write like a guided story or meditation to take you through a journey through your physical and emotional body, which helps you really be present in this moment, as well as be able to identify the energies of your inner world and your outer world completely through the senses. It's an experience where you're not necessarily you don't really pay attention to how your senses can affect your perception of everything until you take one away and you're forced to really just be present with yourself. So that is essentially my main offering, what is a sensory journey, a 5-course blindfolded vegan meal.
I love that. I love that because what's interesting for me is so part of my shamanic training, I spend a lot of time in nature, and I'll blindfold myself to increase my senses. But put me in a room with other people and do that to me, and I suddenly feel different types of emotions because I did so much healing in isolation that when you block my senses and I'm around people, especially if I don't feel like I know them deeply, I notice I still have fears around certain wounds of connection. And that's when I'll know. So I know that this is like the next step of my journey is to work, to have you book a session with you so I can practice healing what is coming up when that happens,
And I've actually heard that from a lot of people. I've had maybe 2 or 3 people from my last group journey who wanted to sign up, but the fear was stopping them because they had such an issue with, being touched by strangers or being in close proximity with people that they didn't know. And I mean, my last group sessions were more so like singles journeys where I was doing like a play on actual blind dates for the queer women community. And so, I mean, obviously it is a lot and it can be intense. But that is something that I've noticed within these practices, is that something that a lot of my clients struggle with, or what they're hesitant about. I just did a ceremony for a woman the other day for her anniversary. And she wanted to do this simply because she felt so scared of it. And a lot of people are scared because what I'm offering is for you to surrender to me, a person you don't know, and I'm asking you to trust me and have faith that everything is going to be okay and you're going to get something amazing out of this. But there is that big fear blockage and there is that big trust barrier. It's like so many people have trust issues these days, and it's like, how do I just trust you? I don't even know you. And I mean, for me, that's part of the journey. That's part of the healing, is can you trust someone you don't know to make sure that you're going to be okay?
I think that's powerful. Honestly, that's power. I know this is the next part of my journey. And the thing is, it's so weird too, because I was sitting here thinking, it's not even you that I'd be scared of. It's if I shared a group setting. And that's why I'm like, Leslie, it's time. You're the Shadow Shaman. It's time to work on the healing of connection. It's one thing when you're leading it. It's the next thing when you're the one receiving and you're in the place of vulnerability. right? And that's why, like, I know it's coming. What do you feel has been like the most rewarding part of your journey right now doing what you do?
So, I've had a few friends actually ask me this same question just recently, trying to really get me to open up and dig things out of myself. And, and one thing that I really did think of is like the thing that I get about what I do or get out of what I do is, the the joy it brings me to be able to provoke passionate play, between strangers, between friends, between lovers, between families. I've done journeys for families, I've done it for complete strangers, I've done it for couples, I've done it for friends groups and stuff like that. And it's just so interesting people's reactions, even with strangers. And so it's uplifting and it's beautiful to me to watch people form these connections, right in front of my eyes, because that's something that in my own personal life is very important. The intimacy of connection, and just being able to connect with people in ways that you didn't know that you could. Connecting between, connecting with people without words, but more so with energy, with touch, with emotion, with real raw emotion. Imagine connecting with a complete stranger and you have no idea who it is. You've never even seen their face before, and you feel this such strong connection. I've had people, they come into these group settings, don't know who they're sitting next to, don't know whose hands they're touching, don't know who they're, interacting with other than physical touch and energy. And they take off their blindfolds and they start hugging and they're like, oh my God, like you just made me feel so powerful. You made me feel so warm inside, and it's like, it's beautiful because our eyes are distractions. And taking away that main distraction, a lot of people's like, oh, like she looks weird, he looks funny, he's this, she's, like judging based on what they look like without getting to know somebody. And so this also gives you that opportunity to really, just tune into the way someone makes you feel, whether it's someone you know or you don't know. And so for me, that's one of the biggest things I get out of this, is just being able to provoke this playfulness, this passion between people who may know or not know each other, and create these connections that can be long lasting.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It makes me think, like, I used to always rely on my verbal communication. And then after a while, I realized that there's so much more communication with body language and eyes. And sometimes our words aren't sufficient enough for what we're feeling. And sometimes it doesn't land the way that we thought. So one of the things that came up as a challenge over the last couple of years is I'm an Aquarius moon. So I can like suddenly be way out here in Pluto and not even understand what I'm actually feeling in my body. So the challenge was, can you learn how to communicate with people without your voice? And suddenly I felt like a baby. I felt like a little toddler. Like, I actually don't know how to do that, right? I was like, what do I feel like to somebody else without talking? So I feel like that could be a rewarding, insightful experience for sure, for like a transformational journey. What do you feel like, and just in your opinion, what do you feel like is one of the reasons mankind can struggle with staying present with their body and their senses and emotions?
Why do I feel that people struggle with staying present?
Mhm.
Lots of reasons. I mean, one, like I said before, eyes are distractions, and eyes are going to take you are going to take you anywhere. You're constantly looking, you're constantly like searching for the next thing. But also, just everything that goes on in the world with technology, social media and TV and, just content, things online. Like there's so many things that we're constantly thinking about, and thoughts are the root of feelings, right? And so the more you're thinking, the more you're feeling. And the more you're feeling, the more you're daydreaming, and you're just not here because you're thinking about this, you're thinking about your future, you're thinking about your past, you're thinking about what you could be doing or what you already did, instead of thinking about where you are right now, right? And this is something that I struggle with as well. We all do. But it's really hard sometimes to stay present when there's so many other things that you could be thinking about and so many things that you could be fantasizing about. That's another thing. A lot of people are just wishing, if they're not exactly happy or satisfied in their current life, you're going to constantly be saying, oh, I could be doing this. Oh, I wish I should be doing that. I'm going to start, and you're already planning in your head how you're going to execute what you want to do. That takes away from what you're doing right now, which is what you should be focused on. Pay attention to what your body feels like. Pay attention to how you feel in your physical body right now. And, if you wanted to pursue what you were thinking about, how that would make you feel right now. So in my opinion, the world keeps us from being present all the time.
100%. I love that answer. I want to know more about you. Tell us a little bit about Mel and how you found yourself to be where you're at right now in your journey.
Okay. So, my name is Melissa, but I go by Mel these days. I was born and raised in Connecticut, traveled around the world, lived in Israel for about 7 years, where I started kind of my travel journey, my spiritual journey, and really got in touch with who I am as a person. I like to say that I grew up there, even though I went there when I was like 25 or something. But, it changed me as a person. And, I traveled a bit and then somehow ended back in the US to be closer to family. And I started really just exploring different ideas and different ways. The way that I kind of came up with the whole Senserd idea was, trying to explore ways to change my state of consciousness without having to use substance. I wanted to get to those places that plant medicine could take you without having to take plant medicine, and, there's so many different ways, whether that be breath work, whether that be meditation, yoga, movement, or anything. And one of those ways was sensory deprivation. And I mean, I've been a chef for the past 10 years. I've been writing since I learned how to spell, learned how to speak. And so I came up with a way to kind of combine all of my passions into one. So I decided, I could take away somebody's eyesight and I could write this really amazing story for them to go through as I feed them really good food that I like to cook. And so that's kind of, how I came up with it, just trying to figure out ways to get to new dimensions in my head. And so I started doing it, started offering it to friends, and then, people liked it and people thought it was a good idea. And then I started offering it to the public. And then I one day was sitting on the couch and I was looking at pictures from an event I had hosted, and I was just like, damn, like I created some quirky experience and people paid me to do it. Like, this is crazy. and and then here I am. I'm about 2 years into this practice, and I'm coming up with new things every day, and yeah, and so that's how I got to where I am now. And every day I'm evolving, and every day there's something new happening. So it's been a really exciting and eventful journey.
I get emotional when I connect with your energy. And one of the things that tells me is that this is someone who's like really heart-centered. And I get inspired by the joy and the inspiration in people. And you glow when you talk about it. So I'm like, this girl's totally in alignment. And it makes me feel emotional because I can tell the appreciation you have for yourself and for your craft and the excitement there. You know what I mean? And it's so genuine. So I'm like over here, like sniffling, like I'm getting emotional. I don't cry easily, but I'll get emotional when I meet someone who has that, I call it the agape love, the highest form of unconditional love. I can feel that energy in you. And I always get emotional when I connect to it. So I'm like, it's so beautiful. So you're so beautiful. Like, I just want you to know.
Thank you. That is super.
Yeah, I was like, I had to tell her this. It's like I'm getting chills. I'm like, just let it out. Let it out, girl. So
yes, please, you are safe here. I will hold this space for you. But you know what's funny is I don't know if you have or follow the Pattern app at all. It's an astrology app. And something that it always tells me time and time again is that you need to do work that you're passionate about, something that stimulates all of your senses. You're going to be working with the senses. And I'm like, it's just so weird that you know that, because I'm doing that. And it's been it's been telling me that for years, and I never once thought like, hey, you're going to be like so grounded into your body where you're like, hey, like you should stimulate your senses and do something for work for that. And and I never thought that I would. And like all the time it's saying you're going to work with something that stimulates your senses. And I was like, well, I guess I am. I guess I do embody that, and I had no idea that this was where my life was going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
So,
feels like really safe energy. I feel very safe in your presence. It's like, yeah. You spoke of writing too. You have a retreat coming up in Morocco, or it's in the works. Can you tell us a little bit about like what that's going to be?
yes. So I am actually hosting a creative writing and shadow work retreat in Morocco in September of this year. So September 21st to 28th. Basically, I have created an experience that is showing us the importance of self-prioritization. So many times, in everyday life, people, have these passions, but always, have these excuses as well of why they can't work on it. I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have this. I can't do that. And most of that is fear. Resistance is always going to be fear. And so I've been digging very deep into my own shadow work lately, and just kind of, really, really getting to the nitty gritty and understanding the way our shadows work and how to navigate through that. And so I've crafted a retreat, an 8-day retreat, which is going to help us break through any blockages. And we're going to be having creative writing workshops, guided writing assistance, prompts every day, as well as a couple of excursions going out into the culture of Morocco, meeting the locals, exchanging culture with them, and using that as inspiration to come back to our beautiful hotel that we're going to be staying at, and either write your book, write your biography, write your story, or it doesn't necessarily need to be writing. I'm a writer, so I am going to be doing all the writing exercises, but you can come and work on work on anything creative, whether it's painting, whether it's videos, photography. Come and create and prioritize yourself. And so that's what's going to be happening in Morocco. The early bird tickets are on sale now. And that's really exciting. And yeah, I want to show people the importance of what your life could be if you chose to put yourself first. And that's kind of, the intention behind my creative writing and shadow work retreat. It's called Pen to Paper. So I'm really excited.
I love it. How can people, okay, so pen to paper, is that like, how can they reach out to you to like sign up or see if you're available for hire, if you're going to be in the area or however?
Okay. So people can reach out to me. I have a website. It is senserdbymel.com. And I mean, the way it's spelled is SENSERD by mel.com. So Senserd as in the senses. And all of my retreats are on there. Any events I have are on there, as well as, there's a contact me page. So more than welcome. I'm also available on all platforms, social media. I have a page, Senserd by Mel, on Facebook, as well as Instagram is at senserd.bymel. So you can reach out to me on any of those platforms, or simple email mel@senserdbymel.com, and I will get back to you. I will be, kind of traveling around a little bit for the next month or so. But I'm, always open to do, I cater events. I do my dinners at retreats and events, and I'm always available. So just contact me, see where I'm at, and I'm happy to see if we can work together.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. And one more question, and then I'll stop the recording, and I definitely want to say like another goodbye to you, or see you soon. What would be, I know the world throws a lot of advice all the time. There's a lot of noise, but what's like the one thing that you would say to somebody who maybe is scared to be in their senses because, let's say, of like the trauma like body, or maybe there's somebody who wants to grow closer to somebody else, right? But they're struggling with the intimacy with self. What would be your kind of advice as a way to like dip their feet in the water to get, or plunge right in, either one, to get into that space?
The one piece of advice I would say, or give, first of all, is that, I hear you, and I feel you, and I feel that pain for you, and, or I feel that fear. But the only way to work through fear, which is a blockage, is to kind of trust yourself. Trust yourself that you're going to be okay. You would never do anything to put yourself in harm's way. So if there's something that you're wanting to explore, someone that you're wanting to grow a deeper connection to, or some, trauma that you want to work through, the only advice I could give you is to just do it. Let go of the excuses, let go of the fears. As much as they still may be present, you have to understand that nothing bad is going to happen to you if you try. The only bad thing that will happen is you'll be hard on yourself if you keep refusing to try, keep resisting the calling. And that's something that I've experienced personally. Just as an example, a petty example is like, for me, when I first wanted to start traveling, it's like, oh, well, I have no one to go with. It's not the right time. I don't have $1 million in the bank, so I would just wait and wait and wait. And then I was like, what am I waiting for? You just go and things work out. So in this example, if you're scared to be in your senses, if you're scared to be present in your body, meditate on it. Think about why that is. But then also ask yourself, what would the worst thing that could happen be? Like, what is the worst thing that could happen if I chose to go for it? And when you really start to think about that, you'll realize there's really nothing that bad that can happen other than you might be scared. So if you could just somehow get that fear to like a minimal level and indulge yourself in your curiosities, you could move through anything.
Oh yeah. It makes me think of exposure therapy. Like you're going to have to slowly expose yourself back to this to like heal that nervous system so that you can have a different response other than a trauma response, like it's got to be that conscience.
Yeah. And I mean, I've even had people, I've had people recently that wanted to come to my last ceremony. They ended up not signing up because they said they had a lot of traumas around being blindfolded or traumas around being touched. And, I'm not going to try and, convince anyone. If it's something that you really don't feel comfortable, you have a very big trauma around it, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. If you decided to come to me and wanted to work through that, I would be so happy to hold that space for you and so happy to hold your hand through it. But my intention is not to make people suffer. My intention is not to just try and convince people. When they're ready, they'll come to me, and I have full awareness and confidence in that.
100%. No, I can see that for you guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Please reach out to her, anyone in the audience who would be totally interested in her services or just keeping up with her journey. When I saw Melissa online, I was so intrigued because I was like, I've never heard of that. And I've done so much inner shadow work, but I know part of my evolution is starting to heal in a physical community setting. So I'm like, I know that our paths are going to cross again because I'm going to be hiring her. And so then I was like, I got to share this with everybody because like, that's how I am. I get excited and then I got to share everything. And I love to support other women, and not just women. I love to support people who are in alignment and showing up, because I'm one of those people. I'm not a fan of corporate world, because I see so many talented people who have such powerful medicine, and they're like sitting behind a desk, like doing something or folding something, and they're completely unfulfilled. And then they got this badass medicine and they create this beautiful thing. And so I'm all about how can I support people to do this work that they're called to do? Because if that could shift to where that abundance can flow for people to show up in that way, I want to be a part of supporting it. I want to be a part of encouraging, because I think it's beautiful and it's needed. It's so needed. So that's another reason why once I get excited about someone, I got to share it. I got to promote it. I got to
well, it is so appreciated because, women, but also small business owners in general, it's not a walk in the park. It's definitely a struggle to start something from the ground because, when you offer something, new, as I do, you offer something that people haven't really seen before. People are scared, people are hesitant, people don't know exactly what you're offering. So they're kind of like, but when you have support and you have people, speaking for you and saying, this is a great person to work with, I've done this personally and stuff, it really helps up. So from me and every small business owner and every woman that you support, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts.
all right.